In this video, we're talking about how our currently quiet weather pattern will soon disappear into a chaotic series of massive storms as we head into mid-March. The possibility of severe weather and flooding is getting more serious, and we still have that small shot at maybe one of these storms trying to bring some significant snow to the East Coast. Welcome back, y'all. Echo Hall here with the weather forecast. Echo, tell them what the weather's going to be like there, bub. What do you got to say? I think he's a little overwhelmed by all of the screens. This is his first time really being up here. I don't think he's ready to give a forecast just yet, but maybe in 2 or 3 years. What do you say, bub? Can I say anything? That was my son's first ever debut on YouTube, and I'm glad you guys were here to see it. All right, let's start talking about the weather. All right, here's a big old view of the United States of America, and it's mostly quiet out there, but we do have an area of showers and thunderstorms down here in Georgia and Florida. And actually in Florida, as I'm filming this right now, there is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Look at this, a pretty impressive storm heading right towards the Daytona Beach area with possibly 1-inch hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds in there. You can see those pinks and purples indicating the tall structure of the clouds and the dense proportions. That tells me that there's probably is some big hail in there. By the time this video goes up, that storm will be out of here, but it's showing you that the atmosphere down here in Florida is dynamic enough to produce some severe weather today, so keep that in mind as we go forward. Now let's talk about how the rest of the week's gonna play out on the weather models. All right, we're gonna start off with the Euro model. Once again, if you want to keep up with the date and time, right there it is. Now let's get this started. Here we are at 1 p.m. Around the time this video goes up, we're still dealing with showers and storms down here in Florida. We've got some warm, moist air down here, and then some cold air really trying to dive down into Georgia here. That's kind of set up a little bit of a boundary that's sparking up some of those showers and thunderstorms here. I really don't think we're going to deal with anything significant down there, just some isolated thunderstorms like the one you're seeing above my head right now. But look at this cold air and high pressure in place up here in the Northeast and the Great Lakes region. This was the air mass that this little storm was supposed to interact with to bring us our big winter storm, but it didn't happen. And we've got a storm moving in over here on the Pacific Northwest, bringing some snow and rain to Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Idaho. That's going to move into Montana. And let's push this forward and let's see what else we've got going on. Thank goodness we've got some warm air advection happening here in the Midwest. That's going to bring some warmer temperatures and some very favorable weather for the Midwest all the way up into the Great Lakes region. Some of these places that have been staying cool are going to warm up by March 8th. Look at this, March 8th at 7 p.m. We've got those warm temperatures really getting into the Midwest, and they're even trying to break into Kentucky here in Ohio, and they're heading towards Michigan. So enjoy it while you can, because the weather pattern's not going to stay this quiet for long. But as we head into March 9th, happy birthday to me and like literally 30% of you guys. Somehow we were all born on March 9th, but it looks like the weather's going to be really nice all across the United States, except for maybe some snow showers over here in Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana. But that is actually a little part of the disturbance that's going to cause our big storm to form up here on March 10th. Check this out. Early in the morning on March 10th, we've got some thunderstorms and showers popping up over here in the Midwest, and we've got some backside snow happening in South Dakota, Nebraska, and Wyoming. Look at this. We've got an actual storm forming together here in the middle of the country after days of brilliant weather. And this is just the first of many. Watch how this plays out. I'm going to push this forward, and we do get some significant precipitation occurring here in Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin. Models have been waffling back and forth of whether or not this is going to be a mainly snow event or a mainly rain event, especially for areas of southern Minnesota and Wisconsin. But as of right now, it looks like it's going to start off as rain at least, and we do get some heavy snow trying to mix in there in the upper peninsula of Michigan, and that moves into Ontario and Quebec there. Look at that. And then on the southern side here, we are going to be talking about the potential for some severe weather. We're going to have some unstable air down here, and we're going to have that boundary once again between cold air and warm air that's going to allow for some storms to form here, and we may actually be dealing with maybe some marginal to slight risks of severe weather during this period on March 11th. So watch out for that if you live in the Midwest. We could also be talking about flooding here. Look at this prolonged area of rainfall happening in Illinois and Indiana all the way up into Michigan and Ohio. This could definitely cause flooding problems, and then once we really get through that and the cold air starts slamming down into the middle part of the United States, we get a line of storms that's going to try to form here and then head south and east as the cold air behind it really tries to pull up and expand down. Once again, these storms could possibly be strong at times. There's not a lot of energy there to work with, but it's definitely something to look out for. Let's actually rewind this a little bit and track those storms with the instantaneous flash rate that we get from the Euro model. This is showing us where lightning strikes could occur, and obviously where we have lightning strikes, we may also have some strong to severe thunderstorms. So check this out. On March 10th at around 1 p.m., that convective energy is going to give way to some lift here for some thunderstorms in Iowa, and then those storms may try to get stronger and move into Wisconsin, and then a secondary area of interest is going to show up around 1 a.m. on March 11th down here. Check that out. Maybe some strong storms in eastern Kansas and western Missouri as we head into the early morning hours of March 11th. What happens with that? Those move off to the east a little bit and maybe affect the St. Louis area and then eventually into the Illinois and Indiana area. And right here where we have this elongated area of precipitation, that's where I really am concerned about the flash flooding aspect of this storm. Anytime you get a situation like this where storms are moving in a linear pattern over the same areas over and over again, we could be talking about flash flooding happening in isolated areas. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. And then once again, that's going to turn into a line of storms that dive south into Kentucky, Tennessee, and Arkansas, and then eventually down into Tennessee and northern Alabama. And I do believe that they're going to, for the most part, die out because as they head a little bit further south, that cold pool behind them kind of outruns any of that convective energy, and they just don't have anything to work with anymore. But now that sets us up for our next storm system, which is actually going to probably be a massive storm. This is the one that we've been watching for so long now. It's the second of the train of storms that's going to come through, and every model run, it looks more significant to me, including this one. The 0Z run of the Euro has a massive storm coming together here in Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas on the 13th of March around 7 p.m. with some really heavy snow back here in Colorado. Look at that. Denver's getting slammed. And then as we push this forward, check it out. We've got a low pressure system in Texas, a 1004 millibar low pressure system, bringing a warm sector up into Missouri here. We're going to have some Gulf moisture to work with down here. So once again, we could be talking about severe weather on the front side and really heavy snow on the backside. This has been consistently showing up on all the model runs. It's just the placement that we're not 100% sure with yet. But look at how intense this storm gets as it moves up into Oklahoma now. We could be talking about severe weather down here in Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, and then just some heavy rain in Kansas, flipping over to heavy snow in western Kansas and southern Nebraska. And then that does head off to the north. Look at that, heavy snow in Iowa now. Look at this real sharp cold front behind this storm. You can tell it's just spinning. It's really winding up down there in Kansas, and then we've got a line of thunderstorms that could become once again severe moving into Louisiana and Arkansas, and this is on the 14th of March at 8 p.m. So if this model run comes to fruition, we're going to have this storm really come together during the main heating part of the day. So right in through here, there could definitely be some convective thunderstorms popping up that could lead way to severe weather. All right, let's keep pushing it forward, and that snow really moves into northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, southern Minnesota, and then it really comes together, and it may snow in Chicago for a little bit around 8 a.m. on March 15th before it switches over to rain. And then just look at this. This is the definition of a massive storm. We've got a precipitation shield with heavy snow going all the way back up into Manitoba, and then possibly a line of storms going all the way down into Mexico here. So this is definitely a large and dynamic storm. It'll be interesting to see what happens with it. This is as far out as the Euro goes. But you can see, once again, we've got storms down here through the Carolinas, Florida, and Georgia. And then we've got moderate to heavy snow all the way up through Minnesota, into Ontario, all the way into Quebec, and maybe some front side snow showers in Pennsylvania and New York on Monday, March 15th at 8 o'clock p.m. Once again, let's rewind this a little bit and reanalyze that severe weather threat. I love looking at this instantaneous flash rate because it kind of reminds you of a radar. Obviously, this is not what the radar is going to look like, but it really kind of pinpoints where the best chance of these storms are to pop up. So let's put this one frame in the future. Here we are at 7 a.m. on Saturday, March 13th, with some storms popping up there in New Mexico, working into Texas, and they turn into possibly some big storms once they get into Texas at 7 p.m. And then those obviously move off to the east into Oklahoma and Arkansas. And brief interruption here, if you want to look above my head again at that thunderstorm we've been tracking, it's really ramping up over South Daytona Beach. Now we're getting a reading that there could be close to 2-inch in diameter hailstones which is absolutely insane. So anyways, let's talk about future storms again. So we've got a line of storms that moves through Arkansas and Louisiana by 8 p.m. on March 14th. Then that moves down into the southern areas of Alabama, into the panhandle of Florida, and then it may re-spark into a much bigger area of thunderstorms on March 15th at 8 p.m. because it kind of enters an area of higher convective energy down here in the Gulf of Mexico. Remember yesterday I talked about how the western Gulf of Mexico is cold, the eastern part is warm. Over here there's a lot of energy to work with for these storms to kind of flare up, so we could be talking about another severe weather day in Florida. Yeah, look at all that convective energy down here. We're talking about 2,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE in the Gulf of Mexico, and that's going to try to send up a tongue that goes into Florida as we head into the day on March 16th. Now, all of this could change. I'm pretty confident that we're going to have a big storm come through, and we're going to have severe weather, we're going to have flooding, we're going to have snow, but the exact placement is a little iffy right now. We'll nail this down next week for sure. But as of now, that's the way it looks. All right, now let's take a look at the GFS and look way out into LaLa land and see what else the weather pattern may bring us. Now, this is the 18Z run of the GFS. It's a little bit older data, but the reason I want to show it is because it shows something really interesting in the long range. And you know me, I love to hype up those northeast snow events, and I'm going to take advantage of it right here. But that storm we were just looking at on the Euro, it has a similar solution here. It's a little bit further north, I think, and there's a little bit more of a warm sector here, which could make the severe weather threat a little bit more intense. But let's push that forward a little bit. We do get some heavy snow in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Illinois here, moving up into Ontario and Quebec. Once again, we're talking about blizzard conditions up here possibly if we actually get that 970 millibar low pressure system hanging out there in Quebec. We're all rain on the coast for this storm, but look at this. The GFS is showing another Arctic blast following this storm with, you know, probably some really cold temperatures moving down here into the middle part of the United States. And once again, we're still talking about this parade of storms coming one after another. And if this was to actually set up, we're going to see a snowstorm. We're going to see a major snowstorm somewhere in the lower 48. So the GFS is just kind of saying we're going to see a big snowstorm come through like this. Check this out. Once again, 8 a.m. March 16th, we've got a snow moving into Oklahoma, Arkansas, and we converge with some moisture in the Gulf of Mexico here. Once again, look at that. Classic signature for all of the big blizzards you remember back from the 90s. This is how they started. So we're talking about heavy snow in Arkansas, moving into Kentucky and Tennessee. Now look at that. We've got a blizzard, son. Moving into Northern Virginia and Maryland and Delaware there. And then we really get some heavy snow that elongates here. And we've got two areas of low pressure that are going to form up here and kind of like double hit the Northeast. And that's going to bring some heavy snow totals to Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey, and pretty much everywhere that's covered in blue right there. This is a hypothetical situation. Very unlikely that this is actually going to happen. But, you know, hey, if it's a trend, I'm locking it in, son. This is just fun to look at right now. And then we get another little impulse of heavy snow there from Maryland, Delaware, southern Jersey, moving all the way across New York City, Massachusetts, and then into New Hampshire and Maine there. Look at that. That is very fun. And then, of course, the GFS shows another big storm forming way back in March 21st. Anything past 200 hours is really kind of pointless to look at unless you're looking at the upper aerodynamics. This precipitation type MSLP stuff that we're looking at right now, it's just fun. It's for us weather weenies, us weather nerds to look at. The GFS at hour 300, like you see here, is like a free OnlyFans for weather lovers. And just for fun, you know, we got to look at those snow totals as well. Once again, blockbuster blizzard snowstorm here for the East Coast and Mid-Atlantic regions. Reminds me of I think that's more like the blizzard of 96 is what that reminds me of. 93 was a little bit more linear like this. This one doesn't really come up this way. It kind of goes this way. So that would obviously be a really impressive snowstorm, and it's not unprecedented. We've had big snowstorms like this in the middle of March before. However, if you want my personal opinion, I would say that this is extremely unlikely. All right, that's all the weather talk I have for you today. I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure you smash that like button, obliterate it, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and turn notifications on so you never miss a video. And guys, like always, I don't upload on Sundays, so I will see you again on Monday, and hopefully that big blizzard is still showing up on the GFS and we'll talk about it some more. All right? Okay, goodbye.